the better part of a year and change, I've been pounding the symbolic table over WR2. Then something happened where I felt I at least had to modify that. And now, well, I'll explain. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Camp's over, but one of the highlights of the overall preseason could come today at Acrisure Stadium, of all places. Steelers and the Buccaneers will be conducting a joint practice that begins at 2 p.m. It is not open to the public, and although media is permitted, and media will be there, believe me, I'll be there as well, the reporting rules revert to the regular season norm, which is that we can't be giving any kind of descriptions unless those descriptions come from players or the head coach. And even there, Mike Tomlin's going to be talking before the session, not after. The players are mostly told to be quiet. So the amount of information that's going to emanate from this thing is really close to zero. But that doesn't make it, the event, any less significant. This is going to be where you see Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf hooking up. They're not going to be held back the way they would be in a preseason game. In fact, the way they will be in the preseason game Saturday night against these same Buccaneers at the same stadium. Coaches love controlled settings. Coaches really love secrets. So they're going to show stuff to an opponent they don't face. The opposite is obviously also true. And they get some real work in that they feel can contribute to what they want to do in the regular season. And everybody gets a chance to maybe come closer to answering some questions that they've got. One question that won't be answered today, in fact, it won't even be asked because it doesn't apply to anything that would be taking place, will be about the infamous, I guess you could say, WR2 scenario. Who will that other wide receiver be? We've gone over it here only about a billion times, but 1,000,000,001 might still bear a little bit of fruit because the clock is ticking toward the opener. And the Steelers, well, Omar Khan went and got Jonnu Smith, and that was when I changed my tune about the seeming urgency or even desperation to go and get one of these guys. And I mean, get a real guy. Part of that was because I was told months ago that Arthur Smith's plan for Calvin Austin was to cast him in what he would consider to be the WR3 role in the offense. So even after Zach Azzani, the wide receivers coach, had stated at minicamp Cal was going to be the WR2, I believe what he meant, without speaking for the man, was that Cal was just going to rank second on the wide receiver depth chart below Metcalf. But the role he'd play would be more of a 3. So along comes Jonnu Smith, shakes up the tight end room, really shakes up the offense as a whole. And I think people are going to start seeing that in the days and a couple of weeks to come when he starts getting more involved. Going to be reminded of, this guy's really good. This guy didn't catch 88 passes for 883 yards in Miami last season by accident. He was the Dolphins' leading receiver at any position. And because he has a history of being able to move around in various roles on the offense, a lot of that with Arthur Smith as his coordinator in Nashville and then his head coach in Atlanta, Jonnu can be, in a way, I don't want to say a WR2 or a wide receiver, although he's got that kind of build and that kind of yards after the catch ability. Just a weapon, a real target who can make real things happen. And between Jonnu and Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, there's a ton of tight ends out there. You've got running backs who can catch the football. I already mentioned Metcalf and Cal. What's missing, what's still missing, as I see it, is a direct line between Metcalf and whoever his actual backup is, meaning who is the replacement for Metcalf if he goes down. If you were to separate Metcalf as playing his own position, that it's a singular position on the roster, and by the way, it kind of is, given his skill set, who's over there? I've been talking about this for quite a while now. This has been my focus more than anything related to who would be the other wideout on the opposite side. We all remember what it looked like when George Pickens was missing games. There was nobody who could do that. You could put another dude out there, but there was nobody who could actually even attempt the downfield stuff that Pickens was tasked with doing. And all along, the example that I've given for this type of player would be someone like Mike Williams. The Steelers brought in the trade deadline. He wins the game for them in Landover, and then they just forget he exists. But he had the experience to run those kind of routes. He still had the ability, as we saw, to make some pretty nice catches. And even in his 30s, he was going to be able to help you out in a short term. Well, that's who I'm still looking at, not Williams. But I'm looking at someone in that mold, and I really, honestly don't believe it'll be a difficult player for Khan to acquire, even just glancing at what's left in free agency. And you're going to have people bring up Odell Beckham, and I get that, and he has the history with Aaron Rodgers. He's 32, but he's training. He's insisting on social media that he's, quote, not done yet, end quote. The man played 9 games in Miami this past season, and he caught 9 passes for 55 yards, which is my statistical way of saying no thanks. You got Tyler Boyd, obviously, with all kinds of local connections, born and raised in Clairton, went to Pitt. His time with the Bengals finally came to an end last season. He was with the Titans, 39 catches, 390 yards. But Tyler, with all due respect, and I've known him for a long time, is a slot guy. He's been a slot guy. The last time he was doing anything out wide was way back in college, and you're not about to reinvent that now. We've already reported on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app through beat writer Chris Halleck that Steelers did inquire about Terry McLaurin. Were turned off when finding out that McLaurin's going to insist on being some team's number one. Well, that ain't happening here. There also was a visit a few weeks ago from Gabe Davis, but there are real concerns about Davis's health. So who's left that might fit that kind of mold? Well, there's Amari Cooper. It's a name you've heard me bring up on occasion, and it's one, to be honest with you, I've never really crossed off any sort of list that I've got. Now, Cooper's 31, but he really doesn't have a whole lot of similarities with these other names that I've mentioned, certainly not the free agents. He's got the 10,033 career yards, but more relevant to what we're talking about, in 2022 and 2023, both seasons, he was a 1,000-yard guy in Cleveland. Now, this past season, he dipped to a combined 44 catches between the Browns and the Bills, who acquired him in a trade at midseason. But 44 catches and 547 yards isn't exactly the end of the world or the end of a career, or the numbers that I was reading you for OBJ. And for what it's worth, and this probably matters, his targets in 2023 were 128. That dropped to 85 this past season. You can't catch a ball if they don't throw it to you. Besides, as I keep framing this, if he's just supposed to be the guy who supports Metcalf, who props up Metcalf, who allows you to at least breathe if something were to happen to Metcalf, that's okay too. When we come back, J1Q. This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Finding great candidates to hire is hard. Too many resumes, not enough people with the skills or experience you need. But not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. After you post your job, their smart matching technology starts showing you qualified people right away. Also, ZipRecruiter lets you connect with top candidates ASAP. You can use their pre-written invite to apply message to reach out to your favorites and encourage them to apply sooner. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Before we get to J1Q today, I want to thank the 100-plus people who emailed me yesterday after I'd mentioned at the end of the episode that everybody was required to go and download the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. And then once they did, if they were interested in learning more about it, they could email me. I thought I'd hear from like maybe a handful of people. Instead, I spent the better part of the night writing every last one of them back. If you want to do that, I'm game. Just be patient for the response because there's a lot of football to cover today. First step is to download the app. And by that, I mean our app, not YouTube, not Spotify, not something else. Our app, the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. It's available on Apple and Android just by searching our company's name. And after you get it into your device, you can email me directly at dk@dkpittsburghsports.com. Spell all of that out. Today's J1Q comes from Jay Miller, who asks, DK, honest question. If you're not allowed to report on anything unless the player verifies, honestly, what's the point in media even being allowed there? If you missed the beginning of the show, Jay's referring to the joint practice that's being conducted today at Acrisure Stadium with the Steelers and the Buccaneers, which will revert to normal NFL reporting guidelines, meaning these are standard across the league. And to try to answer this for you, the first thing that you have to know is that most NFL teams don't allow reporters anywhere near their practices. The Steelers are a rare exception, largely because the late ambassador, Dan Rooney, believed in the team maintaining an open and professional relationship with people who cover the team, and Art Rooney has kept it that way. Now, I know quite a few other football writers around the country who would switch places with those of us covering the Steelers in a snap, because they see nothing, they hear nothing, and then the locker room is open, and they have no basis on which to ask anything. The process of asking these types of questions, it can be a little bit awkward. You're essentially walking up to a player and asking, hey, did I see that thing that I saw? But the players, especially the veterans, they've been through this a million times, and they know how it goes. And they're just going to say, yeah, you saw that thing that you saw. Or they're going to say, as one veteran did to me a couple of years ago, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that this week. Forget it. This is a big game. I'm not telling you anything. For the most part, though, if you see, just give you an example here, left tackle, a lifelong left tackle is suddenly taking reps at right tackle. After that practice, half of all of the reporters there are going to surround this individual and ask him if anything unusual occurred. And he'll say, yes, I was at right tackle instead of left tackle. Well, is Mr. Starting right tackle injured? Well, you'll have to ask the coach that. That's usually the answer that you get to anything about somebody else being hurt. But you're still coming away with more information, way more information, than not being in there at all. And look, I could, as someone who covers 2 other teams in town, make some kind of habit of complaining about this or comparing it to, the Penguins' practices and skates and everything are wide open to everybody. You can report everything. You can film them. You can do anything you'd like. The same applies to Major League Baseball. But there's also a difference in the nature of the sports. There's also a difference in the value of the scripting of the plays that occurs. If I see the Penguins move Sidney Crosby from one side of the power play to the other, I'm going to report that, and the Ottawa Senators are going to find out about it, and they're going to be able to adjust to it. It's just part of life. It's not some super confidential thing. Baseball, of course, has its own secrets, but again, it's not anything that teams can't or don't find out anyway. It's almost always related to pitching. So my answer to you here, Jay, is that it is what it is. We've all got bigger problems in life, I'm sure. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. Go get that app, okay? Go do that right now. And we'll be back with a double shot probably around 5:30 or so that we're going to shoot at Acrisure Stadium.